Welcome, everyone, to our 10-minute Bible lesson. We appreciate you joining us today. You know, I hadn't planned on doing so many lessons on the subject about what the Bible says about love. It just seems like it just happened that way. Now, next time we're going to be starting a new subject, but we're still on the subject of love, and there's some things that's worth repeating, and one of them is about having a better understanding of what love is. I think that we're taught when we're growing up that love is a feeling. That is to say that love is just a feeling and it's just an emotion. And so when you lose a feeling or you lose an emotion, then you're not loving anymore. But really, that's not what love is. It's certainly not what the Bible tells what love is. The Bible says that love is a choice. In other words, we determine according to our will. We make a choice to love others, and I think that's worth repeating. That we could just have a little better understanding of what love is. Now, we are going to look at some more verses from the chapter that I call the chapter of love, and that's 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And we're gonna actually see what that says, and we're going to see how the Apostle Paul has kind of used words to paint us a description of what love looks like. I think it's interesting to note some of these descriptions we're going to read today are really kind of surprising. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's read verse 6 of 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So it says, love does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Now, who would have ever thought that love would be described as not rejoicing in iniquity? I wouldn't have ever thought to describe love that way. But it doesn't. It doesn't rejoice in iniquity. That is to say, that it doesn't rejoice in the things that are not right and the things that are wrong. Now, then we need to know that if something is wrong and something is unjust, that whatever that may be, that couldn't be love, because we know, according to this verse, that love doesn't rejoice in iniquity. In fact, I wanted to just mention this in passing. I think that it's important for us to know that there is a right and a wrong. That is to say, right and wrong. Listen, in these days, right and wrong to a lot of people is something that is just to them if it's right, or to them if it's wrong. But really, right and wrong is not a subjective thing, it's an objective thing. That is to say, there's someone outside of us that sets the standard of morality. So there's someone bigger than us, that would be God, who determines what's right and what's wrong. And you know something really interesting about our own self, we have something that's inside of us. So when God created us and created us in His image, there's something inside of us that bears witness about what's right and what's wrong. So I just wanted to say that. Here's something else I think that's interesting, that people will do this. They do things wrong all the time, and they say that it's love that they're doing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, they may say, you know what, I found someone else that I love, so I'm going to leave my spouse and I'm going to go to this person, and they use the thought that they're going to do it because love is causing them to do that. Can I just say that is not love? Because according to this verse, love rejoices not in iniquity. But what does love rejoice in? Well, the next part of that says that love rejoices in the truth. So love is always on the side of truth. And this verse says that love rejoices in the truth. And let me just say, the same thing about truth applies to the same thought that we had about right or wrong. So right and wrong is not subjective, it's not relative, it's not just something that we decide. That's the same way with truth. People say that today, that truth, what is truth? They say, truth is just whatever I say it is, and that's just not true. There is something that's true, and there's something that's false, and it's beyond us. And so truth is something that that love rejoices in. And in fact, you could just say this, that love is truth's friend. But it's certainly not the friend of lies and falsehood. And I think that's important to know. It's just a different way of looking at love. Well, let's go on and look at another verse. Now, this next verse, these are our last verses, is in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and it's in verse 7 and the first part of verse 8. So I included a little bit from verse 8. I didn't want to get all of verse 8, but I got the first part. Let me go ahead and read and see what it says. It says, love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things, and love never fails. So these are more descriptions to tell us what love looks like. So what does it say? It says that love bears all things. Now, I looked up the Greek word for this word, this English word bear, and the literal meaning for the Greek word is this. It says to roof over. That is to say, to cover over with silence, or to endure patiently. So love endures, and it covers the faults and the weaknesses of others. And I thought that was really good, a really good way to look at love. What else does love do? Love believes all things. Now, when we first look at that, we think, wow, you mean love just believes everything? I don't really think that's what that means. I don't think that it means, in fact, I know that it doesn't mean that love is gullible. Listen, that's not what this passage is talking about. It's talking about love always trusts, or that is to say that it always has confidence. It gives the benefit of the doubt. In other words, it believes the best. So love bears all things, love believes all things, and then it says love hopes all things. So this is what love is. Love is long in hope. So where there's love, there'll be hope. Anywhere you see love, there's going to be hope. So what does that mean? It means not giving up on others, especially when the circumstances may dictate that, because love hopes all things. Listen, when things seem bad and hopeless, we're still going to have hope because that's what love is. Isn't that a great quality? And then it goes on to say, it says, love endures all things. So I like this. This, to me, means that love stays. Let me say that again. Love stays, or it remains. It means to bear under. If people would show the quality of love, then there would be fewer family breakups. And there would be fewer divorces, many, because love endures all things. And I think that means that it perseveres under difficult circumstances. Wow, I think this is an awesome thing. And, when we see these things in other people, we recognize them. And we recognize that they have value, and we admire those things. And actually, that's what love is. Now, the last thing that we want to mention today is that love never fails. Now, isn't that encouraging? In other words, love will always be here. You say, hey, Tom, how do you know love will always be here? Because the Bible says that God is love. And so God will always be here, and love will always be here. Love is permanent. It's not ever going to go away. And I think that's just an awesome thing. Hey, listen, we appreciate so much you tuning in and listening to our lessons that we've been doing on the subject of what the Bible says about love. Now, next time, We're going to be looking at a different subject. We're going to start on a series of new things that we're going to be talking about. We want to encourage you to tune in and join us. I hope you really have a good week this week.